All right, so we're working in the shop today, and I always like to take time to produce a little video to highlight interesting cars that kind of come through my world. And you may look at this car and go, what's so interesting about that? You might be right. It is a 1993 Honda Civic. And you might say, what's so special about that? Well, if you look close or know about Honda Civics, there was a couple years, 93, 94, I believe. Now, everything I say, you're gonna have to take in context. I'm not a Honda guy, but I see enough of these that I have spotted the differences. And this is sort of a special car. Honda made a few high fuel efficient Honda Civics. The normal Honda Civic had a 1.5 or a 1.6 liter engine with about 100 horsepower, or roughly thereabouts, 90, something like that. And this one only has 60. And for good reason. It's a very lightweight, high fuel efficiency car. It's called the Honda Civic VX. V as in Victor, X as in X-ray. The sticker is gone. It used to be right there. But it used to say Civic VX. And there's some interesting quirks about the VX, which is a high fuel efficiency car. One is very obvious, is the wheels. They're alloy wheels, but they're super light. And they're 13-inch versus the 14-inch that would be on most other Civics. Some of the SIs and things had 15s, I believe. Again, I know a little bit, probably enough to get me into trouble, but let me go through the things that I notice, and I can be corrected. So there's some aluminum parts in the engine bay, namely like this mount, and maybe the one underneath as well. It's aluminum versus steel for lightweight. And if you look at the valve cover, it says VTEC, but it's a VTEC E. Has the VTEC solenoid here, and I believe, I could be wrong here, it's a 16 valve engine, and the VTEC runs, I think, 12 valves or possibly 8 valves to a certain RPM, and then opens up all 16 for more power. Or it could be a cam switchover thing, I'm not sure. But this engine has a tiny, tiny intake manifold. Disregard that the owner has put on a high performance air intake. Normally, you'd have a skinny little tube that connects from this reducer here, or upducer or adapter, which is about 2 inches. And there would be a tube that runs over here, air filter panel filter here, and it has a tube that pulls in cold air. This is kind of a hot air intake. But the intake manifold is super small and it's very restrictive. The throttle body is literally only maybe 1.5 inches. And that's why the engine is so low on horsepower. But it has good torque and it gets good mileage. The transmission has special gears in it. They're super tall, very freeway friendly. And there's a couple other things. Let me show you. Pretty neat. The dash has one feature that no other Honda Civic has. And that is in the very right corner over here is a green light. And it just went off. It's an upshift indicator, so it tells you by gear when to upshift to the next gear as kind of a reminder for fuel economy. Most other Civics do not have that. Other than that, you couldn't tell from sitting in here that this Civic is any different than any other model. And there's one other thing too. Let me show you in the back. It's pretty cool. This is my favorite part. So I'm pulling the rear hatch. And if you look at the back of this car, you're like, what? What's different about this car than any other Civic? Well, let me tell you, or I should say, let me show you. First of all, it's a two-part hatch. So the glass comes up and the tailgate goes down. It has a tiny little tailgate, just like a pickup truck. That's what distinguishes the high fuel economy Civics from the regular ones. The regular ones normally have one solid hatchback that comes up. So that's just what I've known over the years and working on these things. And like I said, I could be wrong or totally off base, but pretty cool little cars. They're very rare. This one has just been sold and it's going to California because they're getting hard to find. This one has 25,000 miles on it, I believe. It still has the original wheels. It's in really good shape body-wise, except for a little blemishes on the front, but no rust, no major accident damage. I have a feeling somebody's going to restore it. So there you go. If somebody's interested in restoring a 93 Civic, it must have some quirky value. Somebody's interested in the high fuel efficiency. Again, it has the VTEC E engine, which is not powerful. In fact, it's quite the opposite. They're a little sluggish to drive, but they get great mileage. I'm not sure what mileage they get, but I think it's mid 40s. Honda was really trying hard to make a fuel efficient car in the early 90s without going hybrid, because I don't think that existed yet. No, it did not. Hybrid technology didn't come around to about 2000, 2001 with the Prius. So anyhow, this is what's in the shop today. Wanted to show you that and kind of wish this car off to a new owner in Southern California. It's been with me. I've been servicing it for about 10 years. All right, thanks for watching. And like I said, take my word for what it's worth. I'm not an expert on Hondas, but I do notice the differences on the VTEC, I should say the VXs and the CXs. Thanks so much. We'll catch you next time.